Nowadays, there are a lot of great planar IMs, and it's really hard to find a special place among those planars, but this IM has managed to find a special place. Okay, so hello and welcome to Aftersound Review, and this is my review for Dunu Talos. It's using a single planar driver and two balancer material, costs around $200. And just like usual, I will break down this review from the build, fit, frequency response, sound, and comparison. The build quality of this IM is unique, I would say, because it's made of metal, but it somehow has this stone-like surface to it. So I'm not sure what kind of metal they use, but it does feels really solid and unique amongst other IMs. It's on the bit bulky side around the housing, and even the nozzle itself is up on the larger side. It's using 2-pin connectors, and the cable itself is twisted and braided. But maybe the unique thing about this IM, it has a switch here that has off and on position that will turn on or turn off the balancer material of this IM. In terms of ergonomics, I do find that this IM is somehow quite comfortable, even though not in a very conventional way. You see that this IM is a little bit on the kind of tubey here, is a little bit thick on this part, and because of that it fits like this, as you could see. But nevertheless, it's still a good fit. I could wear them for hours without any complaint. Well, in terms of tonal, this IM simply said is the most neutral planar that I've ever tried. Maybe the frequency response doesn't show as truly diffuse field neutral or something like that, but it only has a little bit of lift around the base area, and it has, still the upper mid range still considered to be quite forward, with some treble extension on the upper treble area. That makes this IM somehow leaning for some people toward a bright-ish just a little bit, but other than that, if you compare it to another planar IMs, this is simply the most neutral one. On the lower frequency, this IM just has a little bit of lift around the sub bass area, and you can definitely feel that. But that being said, I do find that this IM still feels quite neutral, especially if you compare them to the Shure S12 or the Timeless. Maybe some who enjoys the Timeless or the Shure S12 will find this IM to be lacking in bass. But that being said, it is the most neutral one, with a very controlled sub bass that goes really fast also, so you can feel that there is bass there that goes really deep with good quality. But the problem for some people, it's simply lacking some quantity to it. But if I have to be honest with you, that's totally fine with me, because I'm not a bass head anyway. But I believe for some people, especially if you enjoy EDMs and pop music that has a lot of bass, this will not satisfy you. It's just somehow a neutral is bass in my ear, with just a little bit tilt around the sub bass area to give just a little bit kind of fun. I do still find a little bit of lift around the upper mid-range area, making a female vocal just a little bit more forward sounding than some male vocalists. But the thing is, again, I do find that this IM tends to be sounds more neutral rather than the Shure S12 that has much more upper mid-range, and even the Timeless simply said it is the more neutral one. And the treble is the thing that you will feel change the most when you turn on the switch. And I'm just gonna be totally honest with you, it's very not recommended to turn on the switch. You will try yourself that this IM from a neutral-ish planar, a very well-tuned neutral-ish planar, turns to a treble monster IM that has a lot of peaks that highlighting some peaks and also sibilance, with a very plasticky timbre on the upper end, even though it adds a little bit of clarity and resolution, at least that's what I perceive. But in terms of timbre and tonal balance, the switch definitely make a chaos in the tuning. So this IM is great without the even without the BA drivers, I believe. I don't understand why they put the BA drivers. It's just ruining the whole tuning for me. But without the BA treble to it, I find that this IM has somehow a smooth treble that goes really high into the upper treble extension, with some emphasis more to the upper treble rather than the lower treble. So you do hear some airs, you get a little bit of high sparkle upper there. But in terms of cymbal crash, I do find that it still sounds quite natural, not as splashy or not as forward as maybe like the Shure S12. So in terms of tonal, simply said, yeah, this is somehow, even though the frequency response doesn't show that this IM is a totally neutral IM, definitely not that neutral, but in terms of after comparing them with other IMs, maybe because of how they fast, or maybe how just they have this unique presentation of planar IMs, I do simply find that this IM has a neutral-ish kind of tonal, but thankfully accompanied with a very good planar driver. So the planar driver has these tendencies to be sounds a little bit metallic for some people, or has this kind of planar timbre to it. But for me, this is one kind of IM that almost doesn't have that planar plasticiness or planar timbre in the upper treble, in the treble area. This has one of the most natural timbre for all planar that I've ever heard. And I'm talking about technicalities, unfortunately, maybe because of that tameness, if I compare them directly with the Shure S12 or the Timeless, I would say that this is just a little bit below them, just a little bit. So I find that the resolution is still good if you compare them to a single dynamic driver for $200 and less, for example, like Kato or the Dunu Kima. I definitely will say that this Dunu Talos has better resolution compared to them. But if you ask me, is it better than the Shure S12 or the Timeless, I would say simply no. Maybe I would categorize them to be on the same level with the Dioko. And for the direct comparison, now compared with my current favorite planar, of course that will be very subjective. For me, the Shure S12 will sound much more V-shaped compared to the Dunu Talos. Of course, when I'm comparing them with the Dunu Talos, it's on the off switch. The Shure S12 has much bigger mid and sub bass, making them much more fun sounding, also more forward upper mid-range, making the lower mid-range more hollow for male vocals, and also much energetic treble, giving you more energy in terms of treble sparkle and also cymbal crash. And also the Shure S12 has better imaging and soundstage. It has more kind of 3D presentation, while the Dunu Talos somehow more has height but doesn't have really a good depth, so it doesn't come as a really three-dimensional sounding IM compared to the Shure S12 that has better soundstage and 3D imaging presentation. So yeah, it just depends on what do you want. But if I have to say that the Dunu Talos is simply the more balanced sounding one, it is more neutral-ish. The Shure S12 is more V-shaped, maybe more spicy, more hot for some people, but it has better resolution and also imaging. And compared with the Timeless, I find that the Timeless is much more bassier and a little bit more V-shaped. It's not as V-shaped as the Shure S12, but still more V-shaped compared to the Talos. But it's much more fun and easier maybe to recommend if you like pop and energetic kind of music, while this Dunu Talos doesn't have as much as energy and dynamics compared to the Timeless. But that being said, I feel that the resolution is almost on the same level. I do still find that Timeless is still better in terms of resolution, details, and impacts, but in terms of soundstage, I do find them to be almost similar. It's just the Timeless has just a little bit depth. I would still consider the both of them to be more of a two-dimensional-ish than three-dimensional-ish compared to the Shure S12. I find the Shure has the better three-dimensional presentation. So I still say that the Timeless is the more all-rounder one, the more easier to recommend, but it comes with some caveats. The mid bass could sound a little bit more bloated, and you still get that plainer timbre, if I say. While this Dunu Talos, it sounds more neutral, it's more laid back, it's more controlled with better timbre. So in the end, this Dunu Talos is a remarkable IM. It somehow has this planar technicalities to it, planar resolution to it, but with the most neutral tuning that I still find quite enjoyable. Not as lean as Edemotic, still has a little bit of fun, but yeah, I could say that, yeah, simply this is one of the most neutral tuning in planar world that I've ever tried. Okay, I think that's all I could say about this IM. Dunu Talos is simply a remarkable, and it somehow reminds me of the Dunu Titan S, but in a planar way in some kind. So my final rank for its tonality, and this is my final rank for its technical. And this is my final rank. And of course, this rank could be changed with the advancement of technology or simply change in my benchmark. And if you are interested in seeing that, you can see in the links in the down below. Okay, I think that's all I could say about this IM. Thank you for watching. See you next time. Bye bye.